Good morning, everyone. Running a little bit behind schedule today. I'm just trying to finish up my breakfast quickly. Not realizing that I didn't have my camera set up. I didn't have anything done. I don't have my light on. Plug this in so I don't end up having my battery die while I'm trying to do the live. Ooh, there we go. All right. I was working with some stuff this morning, trying to figure out what I wanted to teach you guys today. We're going to work on the double diamond mesh, and I'm going to give you an example as we go what I was inspired to use this for. It's summertime and everybody's looking for an airy little beach wrap. This would be the perfect little stitch. I did a little demo up. Don't have this stretched all the way I should, but this is how it comes out. Double diamond stitch. And this is nothing but chains and single crochets put in the right spot so that it opens things up. So I'm going to show you how to do that today, but also incorporate excuse me, allergies this morning. Kind of a little beachy type skirt that you can wear. Good morning, Samantha. How are you? As far as the little skirt, I have some elastic here for a waistband. You can crochet around this waistband. I'm doing fairly well so far this morning. We had some rough weather up here, which a lot of the times when the barometer and, you know, all that pressure and everything in the atmosphere changes due to storms and stuff, it affects people with nerve disorders. On top of the printer. But yeah, yesterday was a little rough, but today I'm okay. Skies are blue out here today. But crocheting around this elastic, which would make your waistband. You could take your elastic, measure it around your waistband, sew it together on the machine, or hand sew it together to make yourself a waistband. And then you work in the round around this. And then you would match up the stitch count for whatever design you were using. This design here takes multiples of 6 plus 2 for a beginning chain. So, I'm going to give a quick demo on how to work this around the elastic. I'm not going to work this whole thing in the round. I'm just going to do a little demo here. And then I'm going to work this diamond stitch right off of this. Now this I did with a smaller weight yarn. This is a bamboo yarn and it's a thinner weight yarn. I actually used a 3.5? I got it right here in my hand, looking at the other one on the table. 3.5 millimeter crochet hook with this yarn and made the sample so you can see here. I'm going to be doing the demonstration with worsted weight yarn this morning. So that way you can work along, and I'm going to use a bigger crochet hook so that you can actually see the definition. If I use a smaller one, it's going to pull it together, and you're not really going to see these spaces without a whole lot of blocking. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. I'm going to leave that there so I can refer to that when anybody comes in and says, "What are you making?" this is what we make. And so I'm going to set this over here. Still going to work in the same red color. Going to get this other crochet hook before I start out with the smaller one. And I'm going to be working with the 5mm crochet hook for this. Just do your normal slip knot, however you attach it onto your crochet hook. And to work around this, we're going to have to make the stitches fit around this because we don't want to fold it. We want it to stay flat. So when you work around something, I take the crochet hook up to the back side and I lay this across this way. And I'll keep pulling until it comes up even. And then pull your loop through. Okay, and that gives you one stitch. And I just do that all the way through, making sure not to pull the elastic tight. And this is more like a slip stitch onto here, but you'll have these stitches to work in when we go to do this lace. I'm going to make sure that I keep these stitches up here to the top too, because I don't want to twist them down along the side. You want them to run along the edge of here. And you want to try and keep them flat because, again, this is going to be your waistband. Okay, I'm going to do that again. It's easier kind of for me to lay it over to make sure the yarn's laying flat. Make sure I don't pull it up too high. Make sure that it all stays together too. Because again, this is going to make your waistband. And this one over here is kind of over the other one. I'm trying to get it so they'll all lay flat. It must have been the way I picked it up. There we go. We got them all laying flat. And this pattern calls for multiples of 6. So I'm going to make sure that I have multiples of 6 on here, plus 2 at the end for the beginning chain. I'm going to be demonstrating this stitch, and I'm going to show you how you can make a little skirt using a crocheted stitch. I'm actually crocheting around a piece of elastic right now. And this stitch here is called the double diamond stitch. And I will be showing you how to do that double diamond stitch here in just a few minutes, as soon as I get enough of these crocheted on here. And I'm going to stop here and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to do about 12, and then the other 2 that we need. Haven't done this in a while, and this idea popped into my head this morning as I was looking at this stitch and thinking about the season, and everybody's looking to make little skirts to go with their bathing suits or a beach cover-up. You could use it like a sarong, tie it around your waist. This here I'm actually working it around a waistband, so you could wear it like a little skirt. I don't have this closed up. Reason being is I'm not going to leave it like this. I'm not going to do the whole skirt here on class because it's going to take too long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. 2 more. Get those straightened out before I hook the stitch in, and it makes it easier. I'll get one more here. All right, and you would work that all the way around your waistband. Again, this double diamond calls for multiples of 6 stitches plus 2 for your beginning chain. So we have 12 stitches here, and I'm going to work across this and just make a length of this that you could see that if you work this in the round, you would connect it together from one end to the other. And we're going to go ahead with row 1. We're going to go ahead and turn this around, and we're going to be working in these stitches here that we've created. We are going to do our chain 2 for our beginning chain, which should have been added on with our stitch count. And then we are going to chain 2 more. And we are going to skip one and go into this one, and we are going to do a single crochet in this stitch and the next 2 following it. And then we are going to chain 5. Down here we are going to skip 3. 1, 2, 3, and go into the 4th one. And we are going to do a single crochet and then another one in the next 2 stitches following that. Okay, and then we are going to chain 2. We are going to skip 1, and in the last one we are going to do a half double crochet in that last stitch. Now on this one you would continue on around, keep going around your skirt, connect it back together to the start, and then you would start the next row. This one we're going to go ahead and turn because I'm just going to give you a little demonstration of how the stitch is done. And then I'll continue on about the waistband, how you make sure that you have enough stitches around your waistband so that you can have the size that you need. And make sure that when you put it on and stretch it that your waistband doesn't show through your stitches. On the second row, we're going to go ahead and turn this around here because we're working it flat now. We're going to chain 1. We're going to do a single crochet right in the top of that half double crochet from the previous row. And then we're going to chain 3. And then we're going to come down here and we're going to find the center single crochet out of those 3, and we are going to single crochet right in that one, the one that's in the middle. And then we're going to chain 3, and we're going to find the center of the chain 5 that we did here, and we're going to go into the stitch. We're not going to go around it, we're going to go into the stitch and do a single crochet. Chain 3, and then we're going to come down here and find the center of the single crochets, the 3 that you did together, or in a row I mean, and attach with the single crochet. And then we're going to chain 3, and we're going to do a single crochet in the top of the chain 2, which was our beginning chain. Not these 2 stitches here, which we chain 2 after, but the top of the beginning chain here. And a single crochet. Now we are going to turn our work. We are going to chain 1. We are going to single crochet in the top of the previous row, the single crochet. And in the next stitch, which is a chain, we are going to do a single crochet in that next stitch there. Get my crochet hook to go through. There we go. Now we are going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we are going to skip this single crochet. And we're going to come over to this one here in the top of our chain 5. And we are going to do a single crochet in the chain before the single crochet. Do a single crochet in the single crochet from the previous row below. And in the next chain, we are going to do another single crochet. Good morning, Brittany. How are you? And then we're going to chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in the top of this chain 5, is that right? No, I'm sorry. We're at the end here. I'm looking at more repeats. We have a single crochet and a chain before it. We're going to go into that chain here from the previous row and do a single crochet. And then in the next single crochet there, we're going to do another single crochet. And then we are going to turn our work. Of course, if you're making this into a skirt, you're working this in the round, you would keep going all the way around and join your work. And you would chain up. Of course, I'll have to do I guess I'll do a live one day and show you how to actually make a skirt. I'll make it on a doll size level and give it to my sister. She can put it on one of her dolls. All right, now we're off onto row 4. We are going to chain 1. And we are going to do a single crochet in the first single crochet from the last row there. The last one, I mean. And then we're going to chain 3. We're going to go here to the chain 5, and in that middle of that chain 5, we are going to go into the stitch, not around. I think it's this one. Yeah. It's the third chain up. Single crochet. Now I forget which row we were on. 4. Okay, and we're going to chain. We chain 3. Chain 3. 3, and we are going to secure this down in the middle. Single crochet here. There's 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. We're going to go in the middle with a single crochet. Chain 3. And in the top of this one here, we're going to put, and that's the third chain up of the chain 5 from the previous row. We're going to put a single crochet there. And then we're going to chain 3. And we were going to attach this right down here on this single crochet with the single crochet. That was row 4. To talking about numbers and I forget the rows. Now we're on row 5, and you repeat row 2 through 5 for this pattern. We are going to chain 2, actually 4, I'm sorry. We had 2 up and then 2 over. And we are going to do the 3 single crochets in a row here. 1 in the chain, 1 in the single crochet, and 1 in the chain. I've been fairly good, Brittany. Saw some of those patterns. We got to set you up a runway for a fashion show. Anybody who's looking for sewing lives or projects, or you want to purchase a handmade bag, you got to check out some of Brittany's stuff. She's crafted in chaos, plus I think she's got the Brittany sewing. Now I'm getting lost again. Now we need to chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again here on this single crochet, we're going to do a single crochet in the chain before it, in the single crochet, and the chain after it. 3. All right, and then we are going to chain 2, and we are going to attach this down here to the single crochet from the previous row with the half double crochet. This is going to start giving us the double diamond pattern. You can work this in a skirt in any length that you want to. If you want it to be more of an A-line skirt, which would be a skirt that would start at the waist and come out, you would have to increase your stitches as you go around. But you can see here this being the waistband and a little beach cover that you could wear. But yeah, to get back to Brittany, she's got Crafted in Chaos, and you can also check her out on It's Brittany. She does a lot of sewing. She's very, very talented. I highly recommend her work. So give her a check out. But yeah, this is the double diamond pattern. I don't know if you can see that really well with the background. Once it gets, blocked out, you can see the pattern really well. I like it better in a thinner weight yarn here. This will not be as flexible as this here. This is a bamboo yarn in almost like a sock weight yarn. That sock weight gives it a real flowy, light cover up if you wanted to use it for that. You could also do this with crochet cotton, the mercerized crochet cotton, the size 10. You can do this in embroidery floss and make really, really cute curtains to hang over, your windows. All different kinds of things that you can do with this. Good morning, Connie. How are you? But yeah, this turned out to be a pretty quick demo for an hour class today from 8 to 9. Is there anybody out there that would like to see anything else crochet-wise while we still have more than a half hour crochet time? Yes, what I actually did was I crocheted around the elastic to make a waistband. Oh, that was something else that I wanted to tell you all about. I didn't go all the way around with this because it would have took way too long to do the class for just that, but I'll have to do a live showing you how to do a waistband. You take your elastic and put it around you and overlap it, to where it's comfortable. You pin it, sew it on the machine, hand sew it, stitch it together so that, this is your now waistband. You crochet around your waistband just like you do the scrunchies. Once you crochet all the way around and you think you don't have any more space to crochet in, and I would recommend starting here and crocheting over this so this doesn't become part of your stretch. But once you get around to where it's all, covered, stretch it out and then let go. If you have a little gap where your elastic band shows through, do a couple more stitches. Once you get that done, stretch it out again and then do a few more stitches until when you stretch it and it comes back together, the yarn covers the gap between where you started and where you finished. Then you can secure them together, and you have to count your stitches and figure out the multiples of the stitches that you want to use. And then you can do any design, any crochet design. And it doesn't have to be open lace work. You can do cables. You can do any type of design or texture or pattern that you want around a skirt. Someone made you a top and it's not right. The neckline, because you can take thinner elastic. You can even take the rope elastic, which is like a tubular shaped elastic, and you can crochet that around something to draw it up. Like if your sweater sleeves stretch out, you can crochet on the inside and make it stretchy so they stay together. And that could be something else I could show that you could do as well. I'd have to get some rope elastic because I don't think I have any. But I could show you that as well. But yeah, crocheting around this, I could show you how I crocheted around it. That way, you know, if you want to make a skirt, if you want to make, you crochet around this the same way you would crochet around a hoop if you wanted to make a round, you know, crocheted hanging, which I can show you all of that too. But you secure your yarn onto your crochet hook however you normally secure it on. I do a slip knot. And then when I work around here, I want to keep all of these stitches to the top. So I kind of just lay the yarn. Let me get this out of the way. Lay the yarn around the back. And then I pull the yarn up. If I stay in camera frame, you'll see how I do it. Pull the yarn up the other side. And then come back up this way with it so it stays nice and wrapped around. And then you just slip stitch through that. Then when I do it again, I lay it down here and grab it, pull it up to the top, making sure that these don't twist. Secure them on. And that's how you do it. You just keep going until you've got it completely covered. And then once you come back around here, you're going to stretch and make sure there's no gap in between this stitch and your last stitch. If so, you do a couple more and just keep doing that until the yarns come back together when you stretch it. And then you attach it together here with the slip stitch. And then again, knowing your stitch count all the way around, you can take any design you want and make whatever you want. But yeah, I've seen this done around embroidery hoops so that you could do a crochet design that hangs down. You can hang it from the ceiling. I've seen them do it with macrame for potted plants and things like that. All different kinds of uses. Make sure I didn't miss any. Yeah, did that help, Connie? Crocheting the way I showed you to crochet around that waistband. And you don't have to use real wide waistband. If you want a thinner waistband, you can do that as well. This was just the elastic that I had on hand. This idea literally popped into my head as I was searching through the book to find something to show you all today. But and this looks kind of complicated when you look at it. You see it looks kind of complicated. It's not complicated at all. It's just single crochets and chains. So I'm glad that the things that are popping in my head to show you guys help with other projects or other things that you think about. There's also, and I'm going to get some of these and make some. There are, on Amazon, they are the spring. They look like, they're actually metal and they're covered in something and they spring open. When you push the edges, they spring open like that. You push the edges and they spring open. I'm going to get some of those and crochet around those and make little like change pouches. They have them longer ones where you can make little clutch bags that you can push open like this. So I wanted to check into some things like that. But again, that double diamond stitch there, single crochets and chains. This would make a really cute design for an airy sleeveless duster for spring and summer. If you like to wear a cover over like your tank top or whatever, over top, something longer over top your leggings in the summertime. It'd be really cute. And I haven't tried, but I'm going to have to see how it works out using like ombre yarn for things like this, how the color change would go. I haven't ever really used ombre yarn for crochet, only for knit. It's kind of funny that I do that. But I also did this up this morning to show you the difference in using a lighter weight yarn. This is definitely lighter feeling. It makes your design smaller for sure, because you can see this one here is done with a worsted weight yarn. This is more of a sock weight yarn, and I've got two diamonds on this one, and there's 4 on the other one. So you can see the difference. I probably wouldn't do something like this in worsted weight because it doesn't. I like for things to flow. I like things to be flowy, so I don't really, do a whole lot with worsted weight yarn other than blankets, baby blankets, kid sweaters, just because it's warm, it works up quick, and it's easy to take care of. The acrylic yarn is easy to take care of. Yes, you would crochet around the whole band, and then you would start crocheting, and this would be for a skirt. You could do this for, I know everybody's coming out with those new diaper shorts and the diaper pants. They had those a long time ago. I've never seen any crocheted before, but you could do the same thing. With this, crochet around this elastic waistband. You could put snaps on it when you're finished and have it snap to the front and the back. And, make yourself a pair of those pants with the elastic waistband. There's all kinds of things. This elastic waistband could be used for for a crop top. This would be the band that would go around your rib cage, and you would work the top up this way, and this would give you more, hold on for your crop top. So yeah, crochet your crop top right onto this band here that you crocheted around your elastic. So that just popped into my head when she said around the top. Yep. Crochet around the whole band. I only did this for a small demo because I definitely wouldn't have had enough time to crochet around this whole band. But I can show in a live either this week, it'll be later this week, or next week I'll be live and I'll show you how to make this skirt. You can make it, I'll make it on doll sized, but you can add inches, just by knowing how many stitches will go in an inch with your gauge. It's real easy to work this out and make a skirt. I got all kinds of ideas popping in my head now for this usage. I've seen people that only wear longer stuff in the back. You could do a high-low skirt with this. Just by, starting off in the round and then starting to work it flat and decreasing your stitches. Then you could put a border edge on it and you'd have a high-low skirt that you could wear. All different kinds of things. Yeah. Yep. Shoulderless sleeves, floating sleeves. Yeah, a lot of cosplay stuff. All kinds of things. All kinds of things. So if there isn't any other questions about the crochet part, I'll probably go ahead and get everything out for the knitting part. thigh-high socks. Yep, there you go. And the thing about those, if you wanted your socks, your thigh-highs to be adjustable, you could have it to where, let me see if I can't slide this down here a little bit so I can show you what I'm talking about, since we got well, we got 20 more minutes till we actually start the knitted portion. But if you did like thigh-high socks, you could have a little bit of extra that could come around on the inside to where you could change the, make it adjustable. You know, this is going to stretch a little bit anyway, but being able to make this adjustable for different size, you know, wouldn't be that adjustable. You'd probably only get about maybe 1 inch to 1.5 inches because it would depend on how much this stretched. But yeah, being able to make something adjustable by adding a snap. But yeah, that would be an idea to use in when you make your regular socks. You could crochet around like a tube of elastic, which would give you a little more elasticity to help hold your sock up. Because I know a lot of times I don't do a whole lot of crocheted socks simply because once it stretches, you kind of have to wash it to get it to go back, and sometimes even then it doesn't go back. So I like the knitted rib that you can put on the sock that gives you a little bit of stretchy out of just yarn alone. But yeah, you can do the same thing for this with knitting. You could pull your stitches around here as you're casting them on. It's just like casting onto a needle, but you would cast on to here and hold your stitches on the needle. And you could knit right on that. So I might show that today too. Show you how to knit onto here as you would cast on. Let's see. That just popped into my head. Now I got to see if I can do it. Let's see here. I'm just going to slide this off of here because, again, I'm going to end up pulling that out. I didn't mean to snap that rubber band in y'all's ear either. I think I'm going to work with this blue just because. But attach that on with the slip stitch. And then when you go to do your cast on, let's see here. There's got to be a way to do it. And I will probably figure it out. Hold this here. Come up around. You got to be able to make your loop. Now I got to figure this out. How would you go about doing that? Because that would give you your loop. Let me see. Okay, here we go. I just figured out how to knit around elastic. All right, you're going to take this up over this way. Yeah. Pick it up with your thumb. Give it a little twist. And this is a little harder to do, because you have to keep changing where your yarn is. And then you might not be able to knit back over it. So your yarn has to come back down and over this way again. Oh, this way. I got it now. Wrap your yarn around, bring it up, do your little, gotta have it the right way. Do your little twisty loop, and then this comes under your needle, between your needle and your elastic back to the other side. And then you bring it back up this way. Do your cast on. And then tighten your stitches up back in between. But then you've got this tightening up around here on this end. You have to keep unwrapping. But this would be the way that you would cast it on, or you could cast on your stitches to knit if you wanted to do a knit. Yeah, you could crochet around it. It would be a lot easier to crochet around it and then just pick up your stitches through the chains that were made along the edge. Yeah, that would be a lot easier. But yeah, I just had to figure out how to do it this way as well. Now I just figured out there was a skirt that I wanted to do that had a lot of color work in it. It's almost like Fair Isle, but they only used like whites and gray tones and black in it. It was really, really neat. But yeah, crocheting around the elastic would be a lot easier, but I have to challenge myself. I don't know why I do, but I have to, and I do it often. And sometimes it becomes the bane of my existence, but I still have to figure it out and do it. Whether I ever do it again or not, that's another story. But I have to do it. If I think it, I have to do it first. Or at least try it. Whether it's successful or not, I have to at least try. Almost done with my coffee this morning. Turn my warmer off before I end up with like cookie batter in the bottom of that cup because it's been heated. Now for the knitted portion, we're going to go ahead and get started with that because it might take me a minute. See how things go today. I'm going to show you how to do a stitch called fern lace. I'm going to show you the picture, and I'm going to set this book over here to the side. It's only 4 rows, but it talks about yarn overs, which we haven't went over. And it talks about knitting 2 stitches together and what we call a slip knit passover, which is also another decrease. For knitting, and yarn overs are actually increases. So I wanted to show you some of that and how that kind of fans out for things here. So I'm going to show you this fern lace, and then I'm going to set the book off to the side so I can, and this is only 4 rows. You repeat these 4 rows to length. This would make a really cute hoodie, I do believe. It would make a really nice shawl pattern as well. But I'm going to go ahead and show you the fern lace here. You can see the, if it'll scan in, fern lace. And this is only a 4-row repeat with knits and purls. And it's got a multiple of 9 stitches plus 4. So I'm going to set this off here to the side. Move that out of the way so I don't get stuck with those pins. And kind of hoping that it's going to stay open, but I don't think it's gonna. I'm going to have to put something here in the binding so it stays open. There we go. So I've got it leaning up against my camera boom. Again, small spaces. Alright, and I'm going to use this blue color here for this one. So we are going to cast on a multiple of 9 stitches. And then after we get the multiples of 9 stitches, we are going to add 4 to that. So just so that I can show you more than once, I'm going to cast on 27 stitches. And then I'm going to cast on that additional 4 after. Whenever a stitch design says that it needs a multiple of a certain number of stitches plus a certain number of stitches, you do the multiples of the first, and then you add those extras at the end. It's not with each multiple. It's only once at the end. So I'm going to do a long tail cast on here. And for long tail cast on, I have the cut end of my yarn facing me, coming across my thumb towards me. The other end of the yarn going to the little skein or the little ball across my finger. Okay, just like this. These 2 strings I will gather together and hold almost like a slingshot. Okay, just hold them down here with my hand. I'll put my needle in here between my hand and the yarn with the needle down. Then I give it a twist so that my needle is pointing up. That counts as 1 stitch. Okay, so we're going to do 27 stitches here. So that's 1. We got 26 more. Long tail cast on, I teach it this way so that everyone knows how to do the dynamics of the stitch. Okay, you're going to have this pulled towards you just a little bit, but you don't have to pull with force. It's just resting out here. You're going to go to the meaty part of your thumb and you're going to run that needle up your thumb so that way you catch that 1 piece of yarn there. Then you're going to point your needle over here to your finger and run it down your finger. So you go behind that piece of yarn there that's laying across my needle now. Then you're going to bring your needle back over here to your thumb and run it back down your thumb, which is now taking a loop through the loop that you created. So this is another stitch. What I do is I hold my finger right here on those stitches. I drop my thumb. Okay? Then I take my thumb back over here and tighten that stitch up. You don't want it too tight because you want those stitches to freely float up and down your needle. If they don't, you're going to have a hard time going back and putting your needle through to go on your next row. Okay? Again, to the meaty part of your thumb, come up your thumb, go over to your finger, go down your finger, come back over here to your thumb, go down your thumb. And grab those stitches so they're secure on there. Drop my thumb. Snug that up. Okay? So we're going to do this 24 more times here. And I don't really go up and down the finger. I don't need to do that anymore. That just gives you the direction because it's a lot easier for me to tell you it that way than it is for me to tell you what I'm doing right now, even on a slow basis. You know, because you can say pick up this one, go through this one. It's not as descriptive as me actually telling you how your needle, where it should be pointing, and all of that. So once you get the hang of long tail cast on, you don't need to go up and down your finger unless it makes you feel comfortable. You don't have to do it. It's just a teaching method. And no, I can't count at the same time as I'm talking. So you'll see me recounting these a whole lot. So we got 14 here. $20. 26. And 27, and there is our multiples of 9. We have 3 multiples of 9, so that's 27 that we have casted on there. Now we have to add the other set of stitches, which is plus 4, so we're going to add 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the multiple of stitches, 9 plus 4. We did 3 sets of 9 just so we could get a little more practice and we only don't have one little row here. Good morning, baby girl. Happy 4th to you too. Tell the hubby happy birthday. Now on row 1, and we've got our stuff casted on here, so we're going to turn this needle around. Oh, he's still asleep. What a birthday. So we are going to purl all the way across this first row, and in the directions it is telling us in parentheses WS, which means this is the wrong side. Okay, so to perform a purl stitch, you're going to have your yarn facing you, okay, which means your needle's going to come in from behind your yarn here, and you are going to insert it into the hole here that's made by the stitch around, and you're going to have your needle to the front, and it's going to look like this. Okay, the empty needle is to the front, the needle with all the stitches is to the back, yarn is to the front, this way. We are going to counterclockwise wrap the needle that we're working the stitches off onto. I have it doubled up here because I like to work in my ends as I go when I start knitting. So my first couple of stitches are going to look like 2, but they're only 1. Okay, and again, in from the right to the left, needle to the front, counterclockwise wrap your needle. I put a little tension, I tighten my tension up back here with my fingers, so that as I pull this down, it actually pulls the stitch that I'm trying to make here down into this one. And I keep the needle touching as I go under, one needle touching the other, so I don't drop the stitch off. And then at this point I release the tension. You can see there's not a whole lot of tension here on this yarn. Then I can kick this off. I always make sure that I bring these stitches back past the bevel on the knitting needles so I get the true size of the needle. I'm currently showing how to do the fern lace stitch, and I'm just now demonstrating the purl stitch. We're going to purl all the way across this row. And again, I didn't put my little thing here on my desk, and my elbows are yelling at me. So I'm going to trim this off because this is going to get in the way now. Normally I only secure this about 4 or 5 stitches and then I trim it short. It helps me tell where I started the row at. If I ever need that, I leave it hanging here. So I know which side I started on. If I have to get up and walk away and I didn't write down what row I was on, especially working flat, I could always count the rows up the front. Sometimes with textured patterns, it's hard to count your rows after they're done. But we're going to work on some knitting increases and decreases with this as well so that you can see how knit increases and decreases are done. There's many, many, many ways to increase and decrease your stitches in knitting, but certain ones create certain textures and certain designs. And we've already here knitted or purled all the way across that back row. On the wrong side row, I mean. And the next row is giving us some directions here. Okay, so our first direction is to knit 3. Oh, you're a lefty. You're a lefty. Hopefully, do you have a little bit of experience knitting? Yes, Joe? It might be easier for you to understand it if you do. I've tried to knit left-handed, and I can. If, we have beginners here, I'll do my best. But we're going to knit these first 3 stitches. 10 years. Okay. We're going to knit these first 3 stitches. Now, we're going to do what is called a yarn over. A yarn over is an increase. Oh, you knit both hands. When I do my color work, my strand knitting or like Fair Isle, I knit with both hands at the same time. I have one color in one hand, one color in the other. And I do have some videos of me doing that. And I definitely have to do some lives and show you all how to do that too. But it's funny because I can't do it with double knit. I can only do it with color work. I cannot do it with double knit. Trying to do it with double knit messes my tension up. Now we're going to do a yarn over. Okay. Depending on which way your stitch is going to go next as to how you're going to do this yarn over. A normal yarn over, you're just going to bring your yarn over the needle and then go on to your next stitch. Okay, so the next direction we have would be to knit 2 after that yarn over. So we're going to knit 2. Now we have a couple decreases coming up here. We have a slip knit passover, which is abbreviated SKPO in this book that I'm using. You're going to slip this next stitch knitwise. So you're going to here like you're going to knit it, slide it right off. Then you are going to go to your next stitch and you're going to knit that stitch. So to knit a stitch, again, you go to the left of the stitch, go in, and your needle goes to the back this time because you're knitting, and your yarn is to the back because you're performing the knit stitch as well. Wrap counterclockwise, perform that knit stitch. Now, because it said slip, we slipped this stitch, then we did this stitch. Now we're going to do what is called passover. We're going to pick this stitch up and pass it over this one. So this stitch, we're going to pick it up. Just stick your needle right into the front there and come right up underneath the front of that stitch. Okay, we got a hold of that stitch. I'm going to put some tension on here now because I don't want this stitch to slide off, but we want to pass this one over and make it come off. Okay, so I'm going to slowly move this up, and you can see that other stitch is coming down underneath it there. And we're going to take this right off the end because we want to pass it over. Okay, and there is our slip knit passover right there. Now, the next directions we have, again, is another knitting decrease where you knit 2 stitches together. Normally a single knit stitch would be to go in from the left to the right and do your wrap and do your stitch. We're going to knit 2 together, so we got to come over 2 stitches. We have to make sure that we get, and I take my needle and I rub it along this one until I wiggle through those stitches because I want to make sure that I get the full stitch. This is not the technical way of doing it. This is just the way I found to be easy, so you don't catch fibers of stitches and not the whole stitch. Again, you're going to wrap your needle counterclockwise and put those 2 together. Okay, now we have 2 stitches put together here. Then we are going to knit 2. So the next 2 stitches we're going to knit 1 and 2. And now we're going to yarn over again. Normally when you have a stitch count and you start doing decreases, you're going to have yarn overs fairly close to those decreases because you want to keep your stitch count the same. You can't keep your fabric going up straight on both sides when you're decreasing and it starts going like this. So always be looking for increases when you're doing decreases, unless you're minimizing for size to begin with. Now we're going to do that other yarn over. So again, I just take and wrap the yarn around like that. There's my yarn over. Okay. And then we're going to knit 1. We're going to repeat that 3 times because we did multiples
3 multiples of 9, so I should be able to do that repeat 3 times. And our repeat starts at that yarn over. Now we're going to knit 2. Now we're going to do our slip, knit, and then pass over. Then we're going to knit 2 together. These 2 go together. And then we're going to knit 2. There's 1. There's 2. Then we're going to yarn over again and knit 1. Okay, we're going to do that one more time. We're going to yarn over, then we're going to knit 2. Here I'm coming up on my stitches where I doubled up to hide my, to weave in. You can see here the stitches look like they're doubled, but they're not because they're gathered at the bottom as one. So we did our yarn over, our knit 1. Oh no, hold on. Yarn over and knit 2 on this repeat. Okay, now we're up to the slip. We're going to slip that one. Go to the next one. We're going to knit that one. Then we're going to come back here to the slip stitch and we're going to pass it over. Okay, next 2 stitches we're going to knit these 2 together. Again, my stitches look double because they are. That's my weaved in end. You're not going to be able to tell it when I get done here. All right, knit 2, so next direction. Okay, and then we're going to yarn over. Again, the yarn over is just wrapping that yarn around the needle and knit 1. That's the end of our repeat directions, and go all the way to the last stitch. There's one more stitch and we're going to knit 1. Yes, long tail cast on. Yeah, I did the long tail cast on. Now, it's going to be a little bit before we can see the pattern that's coming up. I might have to do, of course, again, there's 4 rows. I might have to do, 3 sets of that before I can actually see. Llama, we are actually working on the fern lace that's in the knitting book. I don't know if did you get the knitting book as well? Now this row here is just going to be purls all the way across. So I'm going to go ahead and purl this row as I'm checking on my comments and welcoming Llama into the room and everyone else who's coming in. We're working on some knitting here with some increases and decreases. The page number that I'm on is 139, and the fern lace is in the top left-hand corner. We haven't gotten too far. We're working with some increases and decreases in knitting, which will help. I think next week what I might do is do some pattern basics. So I'm going to look up some patterns for some small items that we can work within the hour for the knit and the crochet, and talk about some pattern basics so that everyone can get a little more familiar with patterns, especially with doing gauge swatches for things that require sizing. Okay, let me slow down here because I'm on a purl row. Okay, for a purl stitch, you're going to go in from the right-hand side of the stitch to the left. So you're going to go in this way. And the needle that you're working with is going to be on the top. Whether you're right-handed or left-handed, the needle that you're making the stitches on is going to be on the top. Counterclockwise as always, wrap your yarn. Okay, and then when you pull your stitch through, I keep this one when I first started, and I use this to describe to everyone. Happy 4th, Joe. Be safe out there. This needle always stays in contact with this one all the way down and through. I keep it touching. I keep tension so that the stitch comes down and come all the way through. Come down past the bevel on your knitting needle to get true size, and then just drop that stitch off. Again, in from the right to the left, needle to the front, yarns to the front as well. Okay? Counterclockwise wrap. Keep your needle touching all the way through. I don't have to keep it touching all the way through. I've been doing this for over 50 years. Just to let you know how the needle's going through there. You don't have to bring it down really far past the other one before you start bringing it back up on the other side. Okay. Purl stitch. Yes, the needles are used to adjust the sizing. Same thing for crochet. The crochet hooks are made in all different sizes because you need that for sizing. It would be very hard to take a steel crochet hook, one of the ones that are like 0.75 millimeters, and try to crochet bulky yarn with it. It just won't work. And vice versa, trying to take bulky yarn or bulky crochet hook and use, sock yarn. Your design is going to get lost. So yeah, your crochet hook and your knitting needles are used to make size. That's why these are beveled. It would be very hard if they were blunt to be able to get into the stitches. So they do make them beveled. But yeah, you should always push back up past the bevel to get true sizing. And designs are easy to do. It's just manipulating your stitches. That's all it is. All right, now we're going to go on to row 4. The first direction is knit 2. Llama, if you're just getting started, I cast it on 27 stitches plus 4 if you want to follow with the same size. And now we're going to start with the repeats. We're going to yarn over. We're going to knit 2. One difference with crochet and knit, when it says knit 2, it means the next 2 stitches. If you're going to be putting more than one stitch in the same stitch, it's going to tell you that. If there's no direction other than knit 2 or purl 2, you're going to do that over the next 2 stitches. Now we're going to do that slip knit pass over here. So we're going to slip as if to knit. So you're going to go in like you're going to do a knit stitch, which means your yarn is to the back. You're going to go to the left of the stitch, in, and the needle goes to the back. Yarn's in the back, needle's in the back. Counterclockwise wrap. Apply a little tension here. I tighten up back here because that helps pull this down, so that when you come around and through here, there's your stitch. Back down past the bevel for your size. If you did all of your stitches up here on the point, it would be very hard for you to push them back. And it would be even more hard once you turned your work to try and put your needle back in there to get to the next stitch. The plastic part of round knitting needles to be flat. You mean the cable? If your cable's gotten bent, it depends on how badly bent it is. I've seen where people have laid them in the sunshine and smoothed them out. Something that will warm them up, but you do not want to heat them because it will cause the coating to melt if they are cable coating. If they're just, and I have a pair here, if they're just plastic like this, clear plastic, you have to be very careful heating this up because there is no cable in here. It's just clear plastic, and you heat it, it melts. So, the best thing to do is put them away properly. If you have them in your work, don't leave them where people can sit on them and cause them to get pinched and bent. I keep mine in a shoe organizer that hangs on the wall, and I always have them at least like this. All right, I always post these up to YouTube. So if you follow me on YouTube, they're there for future reference if you miss class. Llama, we're working on the fern lace, which is in the top left corner of that page. And you have the knitting book, right? Now, we did the yarn over. Where is the yarn over? Knit 2, yarn over, knit 2. That was the slip knit pass. No, that wasn't the slip knit pass. All right, the slip knit pass. We're going to slip it as if to knit. We're going to knit the next stitch. And in the stitch that we slipped, we're going to pass it over the stitch we just knitted. So we're going to pluck that stitch up, apply some tension here so that your stitch comes down through. Okay, and there's that slip knit pass. Now we're going to knit 2 together. We got 2 stitches there. And knit those 2 together. In just a second. Oh, well, Karen, that's okay, honey. It all goes to YouTube. It's up there for later. All right, Llama, you caught up with me? Let me get to the end of this repeat here. Slip knit pass. Knit 2 together. Now we're going to knit 2. And then we're going to do a yarn over. And we're going to knit 1. That is the repeat there. I'll show you the fern lace here again. The fern lace. This one right here. And get it to come in. There we go. The yarn overs and the passovers are what's going to give us that lace work in there. Put that back over there to hold that open. There we go. All right, and again, we're going to start with that repeat portion here. Yarn over. We're going to knit 2. There's 1. There's 2. Now, slip as if to knit. And it does say slip as if to knit. You're always going to do it that way unless it says slip purlwise. Now you're going to knit the next stitch. And you're going to pass this slip stitch over. Sometimes that comes up abbreviated PSSO, pass, slip, stitch over. Not everybody abbreviates the same way. Designers, it's pretty much standardized, but not everyone uses the same. We just knit 2 together, and now we're going to knit 2 stitches single. Do that yarn over and knit 1. In the book, there's always going to be a table with the abbreviations in it that the author uses or the designer uses. Make sure you pay attention to these. I'm currently trying to learn the symbols for the Japanese Stitch Bible. That was a yarn over and a knit 2. We're back to the repeat again. Now we're going to do that slip that stitch, knit the next stitch, pass this one over. The abbreviations in that one are kind of hard. We're going to knit 2 together because they're not standard to what we use in the United States. Now we're going to knit 2, yarn over, knit 1, and then the last 2 stitches here we're going to knit. Yes, it is very, very beautiful. This would make a pretty throw blanket. This would make It'd make a pretty bag. It would go good in a hoodie. I think it would really make a nice hoodie. Find a simple hoodie pattern that does multiples of 9. And yeah, you could fit this right in there. And instead of having a plain knitted stockinette hoodie, or if you didn't like the pattern that was in the hoodie but you like the hoodie style, you can change the pattern up as long as your stitch counts match. Now that was the 4 rows that we do, so we're going to repeat those 4 rows again. Here is the purl stitch again for anyone who might be new to knitting. Your purl stitches are going to look like this. They have little dashes underneath the stitch on the needle, little dashes. Okay, the knit stitches are going to look like this. They have the little V. You see the stitch here on the needle? They have a V underneath of them. That is a knit stitch. Okay, so we're going to purl all the way across this one with the yarn facing us or to the front. We're going to put that needle in from the right to the left. Knit around. Yes, Debbie, I think I'm supposed to be helping you too with the sweater for your hubby. I have been on the lookout. I don't know if you've looked for any patterns or not. I wrote it down in one of my mini notebooks over here that I go through every day to keep me on track. But again, a purl stitch from the right to the left. Needle stays to the front. Counterclockwise wrap. And you can see how when I'm doing this, when I apply my tension here, when I wrap and apply my tension, you can see it pulling that stitch that's wrapped around the needle. It pulls it down. So it makes it easier to go back through. This is the way that I do it, simply because it does make it easy. Some people don't hold the yarn the same way. We have continental knitters and English knitters. I don't know which is which. One uses one hand, one uses the other. I can do both. I'm sure this is not the way that you've seen most people do it, but yeah, I can switch hands over and I can do my purl stitches with my other hand. So, but to start out left-handed, I am not able to do. We didn't get all that stitch there. Only got pieces of it. There we go. But yeah, I can do multiple different ways. I'm going to have to practice the left-handed way. Yeah, the first way was easier. This one's getting a little rough here. But yeah, you can see my tension didn't change. Now, you find which way is comfortable, you know, as for yourself. There's all different ways to knit. Yeah, you just find which is easiest. He says he doesn't like sweaters. Oh, my hubby said the same thing until I started making him that vintage smoker's jacket, which I have to finish one detail on and then I can show it to everybody. I got a little crazy and didn't pin down my sewing before I sewed, and things went a little awry, so I have to fix it. Now again, we're just repeating those 4 rows. So on row 2, our first direction is knit 3. Then we have our yarn over. Then we're going to knit 2. Again, here is the slip as if to knit. Knit. and then pass over the slip stitch. Okay. Then we are going to knit 2 together. Then we are going to knit 2. And then we're going to yarn over and knit 1. And that's the repeat all the way across. Yarn over, knit 2. There's 1, 2. Here's our slip, knit, pass over, knit 2 together, knit 2, yarn over, knit 1. Okay, yarn over, knit 2, slip, knit, pass over, knit 2 together, yarn over. So basically we covered how come I got 3 stitches left? Oh, we missed something. 3, yarn over, knit 2. I think I know what I did right here. Take my pass stitch off. I don't think I did the knit 2 in between those. No, I did. I had to come back here and see what I did because I had too many stitches. This is what they call tink, T-I-N-K. You hear your needles tink, tink, tink because you're knitting backwards and taking stitches off. It's also knit spelled backwards, which is pretty cool. Okay. Yarn over. So 3, yarn over. Knit 2, there's my pass over, knit 2 together, knit 2, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 2, slip, knit, pass, knit 2 together, knit 2, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 2, slip, knit, pass, knit 2 together, knit 2, here we go. I missed a knit 2 somewhere. Yarn over, knit 1, and in the last stitch we're going to knit. Now I'm getting ready to do another row of purl. You can see here we're already starting to get some of the eyelet, some of the direction here on our fan here. Okay. I get through these next two or three rows and I should be able to see a good pattern here. We're on row 3. We're going to purl. Again, the yarn is facing you, not this way, facing you. So of course your stitch is going to go behind the yarn here. In from the right to the left. In that loop that's created by it going around this other needle. Counterclockwise wrap. pull your stitch through. Okay. If anyone else needs to see that purl stitch, I'll slow down and demonstrate. Fern is a plant, like a Boston fern. It's a big green leafy plant. And the leaves kind of look like that, a fern leaf. Yeah, kind of like oat. Let me see here really quickly, because we've went through this pattern repeat, and this is the second repeat. I know it's probably not going to be very quickly, but we still got a half hour here. I got stuff in my way. I can't pull stuff off my shelf here. There we go. Get my tablet to come up and I can show you a fern. And then we'll continue on with row 4 on here for the second repeat. All right, if you look here, this is what a fern would look like. They've got some different pictures of ferns, but it's this fern. That's that pattern that's going up through there with the lace in between. All right, row 4, we're going to knit 2. And then our repeat starts. In a pattern, they will indicate what stitches you're supposed to do with the repeat by putting an asterisk in the front and an asterisk in the back. It looks like a little star type thing. So we knit 2, and that's not part of the repeat. So the asterisk starts at the yarn over. So the yarn over and on is the repeat. So we're going to yarn over, then we're going to knit 2. Then we're going to do our slip, knit, and pass over. The slip stitch normally gets passed over unless otherwise indicated. Now we're going to knit 2 together. And then we're going to knit 2. Yarn over, and knit 1. Okay, now we're going to do that repeat again. Yarn over, knit 2. Now we're going to slip, knit, and pass over. Then we're going to knit 2 together. Then we're going to knit 2. There's 2. There's our yarn over and knit 1. One more section of repeat with the yarn over, knit 2. We're going to slip, knit, and then pass over, knit 2 together. Now we're going to knit 2. Yarn over, knit 1, and with row 4 we have 2 stitches left over, and we're told to knit those 2 stitches. Okay. And you can see here it's starting to give us our little fern designs here and our lace in the middle. Okay. And this stitch can be used to, replace any simple stitch. It is going to give you a little rippled edge, so I think it'd be nice to have this rippled edge at the bottom of a sweater. If you didn't want to do this the whole way through the sweater, you could do this, and I'll show you what I mean when we start doing the next couple of rows. You could get so much of this done at the border, and then you could run this up the side, and this panel in here that would fill this area, the first 18 stitches, could be plain stockinette stitch, and you could continue this up the side, and this could be used as a border for something that would be plain in the middle. I'm all about taking a pattern and changing it, not stitch counts and sizing, but taking a plain Jane stockinette stitch sweater and putting a pattern in it. When you do that, you have to make sure that your stitch counts match. If your stitch counts don't match, you can do things to make them match by adding a border. Adding a couple of stitches after you've done your border row on your sweater. Normally you have a rib row or a border row, where you do a couple rows of whatever just to keep your knitting from rolling up, to give it a nice smooth edge. If your stitch counts at that point after you do your border edge don't match and you're off by one or two, one way or the other, you can do one more row of your border and increase evenly that number of stitches to give you the stitch count you need to do the design that you want to do it in. But I do it all the time. I change up a pattern to, have the style that they have, but change up the texture, change up, just like the smoker's jacket. I took the Fair Isle out of the lapels on the collar and put, I think, an even moss stitch I used in there, which is almost like a seed stitch. But I think this would be very cute as the bottom of a sweater with a little bit of texture. A little bit of wavy ripple at the bottom. And again, this would be cute around a baby blanket. Around the edge of a baby blanket, do maybe 2 inches. That's almost 2 inches. Do about 3 inches of this and do solid in the middle, because a lot of baby blankets you don't want to have a whole lot of holes in because they put their fingers through and twist around and they can cut their circulation off. One track, I'm doing good today. How are you? Many, many, many different applications with applying texture to your knitwork. Bags, all sorts of things. But just to let you know, while I have everybody here, I am going to try and start coming on more during the week, doing maybe try 1 extra live, maybe 2 a week. I don't have them scheduled just yet, and I probably won't, simply because it all depends on how I feel when I get up in the morning. It can change from 1 minute to the next. But I do want to come back on lives and start showing some of the things that I'm talking about here. It might be a sweater that I'm working on. It might be a hat that I'm working on. My cupcake sleeves, I know everybody's waiting to see those. I'm trying to find a particular color yarn, and it's come to the point that I think it's been discontinued. And what I'm probably going to have to do, and I hate to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway, is pull out all the cupcakes that I've already done, or maybe I'll see if I can't go and just keep going and do a different color cupcake and try and do it the other way on the other side with different colors as well. with like vanilla and chocolate cupcakes. I don't know. I don't know if I'd like it that way, but I'm on the verge of actually pulling it all out and starting it over again and actually having the amount of color that I needed. I thought I had enough, but I do not. Luckily, I'm only about a third of the way in, so it's not a whole lot of work. Thank you, Corinda. Yeah, my mom taught me how to knit when I was 11. I was 9 when I learned how to crochet. Oh yeah, I like to learn new stuff. Love to learn new stuff. I'll be 52 this year, so I've been doing it for quite a while. And a lot of it was mostly baby stuff. I was afraid, seriously afraid, to do adult sweaters. I loved doing baby sweaters. They worked up really quick. And I just loved making small things. You know, the accomplishment, the proud factor was a lot quicker than, you know, a blanket that take you a couple months to do, or, you know, adult sweaters. I really didn't start challenging myself until like the last 2 years, you know. So last year and a half, my mom has got like 10 sweaters that I've made. Some of them were actually plain sweaters that I put some color work in, and I actually did a Betty Boop on the back of a sweater for her. And I do have that, I think, in my Instagram. I don't have it in my TikTok yet, but I need to get some of those over there too. I'm trying to get everything everywhere. If you could just post to one place and it went everywhere, it would be great. It would be awesome, but it doesn't. So, but yeah, I love to challenge myself now. Sweaters and socks. I'm going to be doing some socks here to build up some inventory for another craft fair, craft show. And they're worked on flat needles. And I'll probably be working them on these. I'll probably come on live and make them because it'd really be easy for me to sit here and knit them. They're done in garter stitch. They're done flat. And you sew them together. And I like them. My grandkids loved them. I do them in worsted weight yarn. Acrylic. It's easy to take care of. And they're more like slipper socks. You know, you can run around in the house in them. I was thinking about making a basket of them to have by the door, so when we have company, everybody can take their shoes off, throw a pair of slipper socks on, and they can take them home with them when they go. It'd be a cute little thing. A little stash buster. It doesn't take a lot. It shows you where to put the colors, so you got the color in the toe and the color in the heel just right, and everything just comes out perfect. The 5-point needles for making your socks. One track. Have you tried the Addy Flexi Flips? I'm getting rid of all of my double-pointed needles, and I am changing over to the Addy Flexi Flips. It's going to take me a while because they're like $22 and $23 a piece. But I love these things. These 3 needles replace those 5, and I love it. They're flexible, so that when you're trying to work around those needles that are sticking out, they just lay right where they should. And I love it. These are a size 3. So yeah, these would be really good for making socks. These here I got off of Amazon. They're called Addy, A-D-D-I, Flexi Flips. Flex, just like flex, with an I. Flips. Yes, they are on Amazon. You might be able to go to Addy, their website, and find it cheaper. But I'll show you here. Addy Flexi Flips. And honestly, try out a pair. A friend of mine had recommended them because the double-pointed needles, they've always been so fiddly to me. Having to reach around, work around, and they don't flex. I love these things. I love these things. And they come in this cute little container. I'm going to get a little pegboard, and I'm going to hang them all up on the wall. I have my little shop with all my tools. But yeah, I love them. But probably just sit here and ramble on until 10 o'clock. So I don't want to start anything else. Next week, is there anything that anybody would be interested in seeing? Knitted or crochet-wise for class. I'm still trying to get class to where it's what you guys want to see, what you guys want to learn. I try to incorporate the skills in with each thing that I make, working with increases and decreases for knitting today, because we've done it with the crochet before, making the amigurumi. We did the increases and the decreases to help you understand that. These here, I want to try and figure out something that we can do to where you can see other increases and decreases in the knitting with the make one and stuff. But next week I am going to get into some patterns using cables, okay? Yeah, this is a double pointed needle. It's actually a double pointed needle with stoppers on it. It's got 2 points, one on each end. These are for making socks and hats and things like that. I use them because I have a limited amount of space between my camera and my desk. There's about maybe 14 inches there today. I was able to move some things around. But yeah, I use these smaller needles because the other ones beat on the desk the whole time, and that's all you can hear. It sounds like somebody's on the warpath beating the drums while I'm back here trying to teach class. So I utilize what I have to be able to, and these are only 10-inch needles, to be able to work in the space that I have. But yeah, I like this little stitch. I'll have to figure something out. I am going to show you guys how to do some really lacy knitting with some other things, but I'll have to do that in a live because it's going to take a lot longer than the hour. I want to show you how to border things as you go, how you can make those lacy borders, or not lacy borders, but there's a sweater that I'm getting ready to do, and this is why it's on my mind. It's almost like a double knitted border, but it's not double knit. It's done in knit and pearls, and you slide the pearls and knit the knits, and you do the opposite on the opposite sides, and it gives you a nice squishy, look at this lace border. It really would make the lace pop. I'm getting ready to do a sweater with some of that as soon as I can figure out what yarn I want to use, and as soon as I get some of these projects done. I had pulled out a bunch of projects the other day that had been sitting here, and yeah, shame, since 2020 that I haven't finished. And I'm like, I know I'm not going to finish it, so I got the yarn winder out and I pulled it all out. Wound it all up, and that went back into my yarn inventory. But I've got a few more that I need to finish, and some things that I need to finish up the vintage sweater, which, like I said, when you have to sew knitting, take your time, pin it down. Don't fly by the seat of your pants. I tell myself this every time, and I don't listen. So then I got to take out sewing, knitted sewing, which is always not a lot of fun because you're afraid that you're going to pull the wrong stitch or cut the wrong stitch. And it's not a lot of fun. But yeah, definitely going to be on here. And let me see. I know somebody had asked about cables. Maddie Easton. I have used cables, a cable needle. We just did cables last week. If you follow me on my YouTube channel, there is a link in TikTok on my profile page right above my videos. It is a Linktree link. If you click on that, it will have my link in there for YouTube, and you can look at the braided cables, or we did crocheted and knitted cables last week. But yes, I definitely can come back on this week and do that. My husband's off from work until Thursday. So Thursday or Friday, I will be back on with the live. I don't want to limit myself to just the 2 hours. So either one of those days, and it might be both of those days, depending on how I feel, I'll be back on around 11:30. Thursday or Friday this week. And we can do some cables, and I can show you some of this bordering stuff that I wanted to show you. I'll have some examples done up so you can see how putting certain borders with certain stitches will really make your stitches excuse me, pop. My throat's getting dry here. All the talking and nothing to drink. Yeah, this will help with the cable. This is a cable needle. Are you talking about the yarn swift, Debbie, or the yarn winder? Karen, I also have these books linked into that link tree as well that I was just describing. This is the one that I'm using for the knitting portion. I purchased both of these off of Amazon, and I'll show you the one that we're using for the crochet. Both of these are in my TikTok link. And this one is the one for the crochet. And I'm just bouncing around here, there, and everywhere in the book because there's certain things in there that I want to show you that will help you do just about anything you want to do with knitting. You know, knowing the knit and purl stitch and maybe the yarn over if you want to count it as a stitch. I don't because it's an increase. But yeah, the knit and purl stitch and then how you manipulate those stitches. Adding stitches with the yarn over or make one. There's a make one right and a make one left, which will make your stitches lean a certain way depending on how you pick it up. I don't know what you mean, Debbie. This one here is a yarn winder. I use it to wind up my yarn. Once it goes loose like this, I'll wind it back up so that it doesn't get all tangled up and knotted up. Is this what you purchased? Or you purchased something to spin yarn, to actually make yarn? Is it this? I don't know what you're saying yes to. I asked several questions. Yeah, this is really easy to use. If this is what you're talking about. This is a yarn winder. Okay. Yeah, what I do with this, and I can show you. I'm going to take this knitting off of here anyway and pull this back out. Oh, I hate when it does this. Here we go. All right, with this yarn winder, you can attach it down to a table. I have this set so it attaches down to my desk. Okay? This part here is where your yarn runs through from your skein. I'm going to try and have it stay up here so that I can show you. Here we go. We'll set it in here. It's not attached to anything, and I'll move this out of the way so you can see this. Take your end string, bring it down here. You're just going to roll it around here just like this, and it's going to be right in through there. You can feed it through there if you want to, but I'll show you exactly how I did that. See if I can't. I don't know how I can get this to stay up here. No, that's too big. Okay, that'll do it there for a minute. All I did was I held the yarn right here, and then all you do is just go around. Okay, you see how I did that? How I went, hold the yarn to the back of it, bring it around to the front, right in between those two wires right there, down around that, and you've got it right in through there. Once you get that in through there, you have these two little notches in here. You're just going to lay your yarn in there like that. Okay, I'm going to slide this over this way a little bit. Take this out now that we've got that in there. And then you just crank this handle. And it's going to be hard because it's not locked down to anything. But you crank this handle and it rolls it around there for you. That's what it does. See if I can get it to do it here. I hold a little bit of tension on it because I don't want it to go free because it gets stuck underneath the hair if you let it go crazy. But you just roll it around. And it'll rewind all that up for me. I get a yarn, I wind up any yarn that I get simply because I hate running into knots. I absolutely hate running into knots while I'm knitting or crocheting because then, you know, you think you're working your way along. Let me get this wound up here really quick. You're working your way along and you think everything's okay, and the next thing you know, you've got a cut end. Or you come up on a knot, and then, okay, you got to go back a couple of stitches. All right, I'm going to bring this back over here so you can see how this does. I'm going to attach this on here really quickly, because if not, it's going to go flaying all over the place. I take a crochet hook, and I'll show you what I do here. After I've got it all balled up, I take a crochet hook and put up underneath the hair and pull this little loop through for my tail end. Okay, and then all I do, once I've got all it's rolled up, I just take this, pull this out from here because that's my center pull. And then I just take my fingers and put them up underneath the hair, push down with my thumbs, and everything comes right off. Now, you can take your yarn label and stick it in here before you pull it off. That way when you pull it off, your yarn label is in here so you know exactly the colorway and all of that. But I just give it a little like this, and it tightens up that center, and you've got a little center pull cake. And I have these are what I have sitting over here for class. Just, you know, a couple of these sitting over here in case I need to pull one for whatever reason. But yeah, a yarn winder is beneficial. It's not necessary unless you have stashes and stashes of yarn, and then you are going to want to definitely, you know, you're not using all your yarn up, but yet you're going to store it. I would rather have it caked up like this than to have a loose skein, you know, laying over here like this one. I'll have to do this one up. It's a loose skein. It's floppy loose. You pull it in and out off the shelf. We've got strings coming off of both ends. Yeah, it just makes it neat. That's all. Just makes it neat. I'd like to get bags to put all my yarn in, but I have way too much yarn. Snapperettes, yeah. I'm one to not, you know, if you have snapperettes laying around, that's all good and well, but, you know, this works just as well. It's in here. It can, you know, you can do all of this. It's not going to come out until you go like this. And then it comes right out, you know. But, yeah, I just go up underneath the hair, grab my loose end, Do it just like that. You got your loose end there and your little loop. And it stays. But I thank every one of you for joining me today. And definitely Thursday or Friday, sometime around 11:30, I'll be back on with some things to show you. Definitely going to work up a little swatch with that border that I was talking about, and I'll show you how to do all of that. I know I definitely did demo a sweater. I did 3.5 hours and did a baby doll sweater, which is the basic construction of a basic sweater. Any sweater can start off on that construction. You just need your measurements. I will probably do try a little tutorial and see if I can't get something done up for you. Also, knitting in the round. We'll have to try doing some hats. If you guys want to know how to do hats, knitting in the round, how to put pictures on hats, how to put texture in the hats, same thing. That fern pattern would be really cute in a hat. And I would do it in a tube style, and I would pinch the top together and just leave it, you know, like you tie a bag of bread off. Do it like that. Maybe put a do it in some green tones or some neutral tones, and put a green crocheted tie around it with some leaves for a hat. I think that would be pretty cute. Oh, thank you so much, Maddie. I try not to talk too loud because I've got the phone like 3 to 4 inches away from my face. I'm looking around my phone to do the knitting and the crocheting, and looking back to catch the comments, and I'm trying not to talk too loud. But yeah, it's kind of easier when you have a calming voice to teach, especially when people aren't in the same room and they get frustrated because what they're doing doesn't look like what I'm doing. And, you know, it's best to be able to have that calming effect. So again, I thank you all for joining. Come see me next week. We're definitely going to do some pattern discussion with crochet next week. And I think what I might do is find maybe a hat that we might be able to do and get started knit-wise and crochet-wise to do a little bit of pattern demonstration. So I will find free patterns. I'll see if I can't get that done today or tomorrow and post a link. Once I've posted the link, probably will work one of each one up and do a video to let you know what we're going to do prior to class. I need to get back into doing that because I've gotten away from that. I've gotten a little lax. I don't want to say lazy because I've been busy doing all kinds of other things, but I've gotten a little lax in my TikTok and classes, and I need to bring those back up to par. The hubby said he would wear a sweater. He doesn't want a hoodie. Okay, because I think that's what you said that you wanted was a cardigan, Debbie. If you're still interested in doing a cardigan, we'll have to do that on a live. I can help you do piece by piece. We can do a knit along if you want. I'd love to do a knit along. We can do that. We can plan for that when you have time available. Find the right pattern. I know you said you wanted more of a rounded collared pattern sweater, and that's what I'm kind of looking for. I'm going to send you a message after a while with a few questions about measurements so that I can see. I couldn't find a whole lot of rounded collar patterns for men, but there were a lot for women. And if it's a straight boxy pattern, we can do that. Now, as far as like a raglan sleeve, that would probably be easy. And I got a lot of raglan patterns, and that would give a rounded collar. So that might be the way to go. Oh, Tammy, you started the Hexy hoodie. I'd love to see that when you get done with it. Love to see that when you get done with it. For sure. I just finished the hexagon cardigan, and I used some the Isaac Mizrahi yarn. It's a wool blend with a ribbon yarn put through it. I have to get some pictures taken of it and post a video. I really like it. I like it a lot. I'm probably going to make a couple more for sure for myself. I'm a sweater wearer, but I'd like to have some more brighter colored sweaters, and that's what I'm gearing towards now. But I got to get off of here. Can't stay on here all day, even though I'd love to. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Tammy, thank you for the rose. Everyone, thank you for the gifts. They are not necessary. I do appreciate them. But yes, check us out next week on Tuesday. We're going to be doing some pattern stuff. And definitely we're going to do some hats. So next week, I'm probably going to extend things a good bit. So class might be a little longer if you can stay. If not, yeah, because I want us to be able to get through the things that we're going to make. And hopefully we can do them in an hour. We're going to do the hats. I think we're going to do them more so on the baby size. We should be able to get through a hat in an hour in the baby size and still have a pattern, detail, texture, all that, and be able to go over the pattern stuff. So that way we can work through any issues that anybody has with patterns. I'm here for that kind of help too. But yes, thank you for joining me. And we are going to end today. May all your stitch counts match. And as usual, happy crafting.